What's going on?
This week's episode of the Zompire Horde podcast is brought to you by Bloody Knuckle Customs. Come check us out at www.bloodyknucklecustoms.com.
Hello, and what the hell is that? Patty Boomstick, you triggered me. I was all ready to do an intro, and the next thing I know, I got this creepy broad looking at me. What the hell? Welcome back to an all-new Zompire Horde podcast, where tonight we're missing one of our people. We're missing Michelle the Dead.
She's out being a superhero, though, so it's okay.
She's out saving dogs' lives one eyeball at a time.
One eyeball at a time is accurate for her tonight. That is exactly what's happening.
So, if you want to give an explanation?
Sure. She hit us up earlier saying that she will not be able to make the show tonight because she has to stay late to do surgery on a dog who has a tumor behind its eye and it's pushing its eye out. So they have to remove the eye, which is super sad for the puppy. But the puppy is in great hands because Michelle is an amazing person and great at her job. So the puppy's going to pull through.
Very true. Very true. But we miss her. We love her. If you're watching as you're doing this operation, which hopefully you're not.
Yeah, we want you to watch, Michelle, but please save the puppy first.
Save the puppy when the puppy's like when they're in the wake up stage, of coming out of it, then you pop it on. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Rebecca, what's up?
Pop it on after the eye's removed and the puppy's safe.
That's right. But we still got a show to do, and tonight, one of my favorite franchises ever. Evil Dead / Army of Darkness / Ash vs. the Evil Dead / Evil Dead / Evil Dead Rise.
Evil Dead Rise.
I haven't seen it yet.
Neither have I, actually.
So we won't talk about Evil Dead Rise.
Makes me sad. Well, I mean, that's what this awesome picture was from.
It's true.
That's such a good sketch. I absolutely love this sketch. It's so fucking fantastic. That's getting framed and hung somewhere in my house.
Where did that come from?
You don't want to know.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you. So after Zompire, mystery boxes wasn't a thing anymore. I needed my mystery box fill, so I subscribed to BAM, and it's a BAMmer. Yeah, not very happy with BAM overall, but this is a pretty fucking sick art piece.
They're kind of hit or miss. They've had some really cool stuff in there, and they've had some kind of meh stuff. But I think that's with most mystery box companies. Even Zompire was the same. Like every item isn't gonna please everybody,
Yeah, for sure. But Zompire is definitely better. Had a better wow factor to me than BAM does.
I doubt you'll see a Cannibal Holocaust autograph in BAM.
No. There is something Terrifier coming out in the next band, though. That's pretty exciting. I hope it's the autograph.
Do you think it's from the new one or the first one?
It just says Terrifier, so I'm assuming it's the first one.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's actually a pretty good autograph to get if they get that. If you were to get David Howard Thornton or Damien Leon and a mystery box, I think their price point's like $35. That's actually a really good autograph to get in there. So
yeah, I would like to get one that would be like have a photo in it that I could get dual signed too, if I could do
that. Just real quick, since we're on the subject of signings, any big autographs you have planned for Crypticon? You thinking of doing? Are you going to start an ET project?
No, I don't. I'm about to get hate mail for this, but I don't like ET. Like I'm just not a fan.
I feel like it's
doesn't float my boat.
I feel like it's for most people a nostalgia thing. Like I don't like Bambi, but I almost had a framed Bambi piece at one point. The guy fucked up shipping it and everything. But like, but I have like a really vivid memory of me, my mom, and my sister at the movie theater when it came out, whenever 80 whatever, and when the mom died, me and my mom were like bawling, crying, and my sister was like hysterically laughing, and that like memory is always stuck in my head. And so it was like like I was gonna actually have a framed Bambi piece. It was the voice of Bambi, and this guy was like auction. I don't remember how I ended up with it, but he was from Canada, and there's a big pain in the ass thing about it, and I ended up not getting it. But so I could see where
Yeah. Where even though if you maybe not be the biggest fan of something, there's something that sparks a memory that would make you want to get it or something.
Right, exactly.
Unfortunately, ET does not have that for me. I don't know what I want to do. Everybody there kind of have autographs from already that I care about.
Night of the Comet?
I don't, but I don't know if I want one. Maybe. Yeah.
D. Wallace is the best part of E.T.
Yeah, D. Wallace is dope, but I already have like 4 D. Wallace autographs. So I don't need another one, especially on ET.
D. Wallace was in Cujo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to get a Cujo piece because, like, so where I have this little table right here.
How big do you want it?
What do you mean?
I have an 8x10 I'll give you.
Of D. Wallace. Is it from Cujo?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
You want an 8x10?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's fine because I have this wall and it's where my cat's food and water is. Mm-hmm. And I've been getting all these, like, anything that's like animal. So my Thanksgiving is up there. I have like a picture of a cat wearing a Voorhees mask, and that's up there. So all my like animal horror is like going up above their food dishes. So
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Wallace from Cujo. I'll bring it to Crypticon if I don't see you before that.
I'm bringing you a bullet belt to Crypticon. So
yeah, sweet. There you go.
And it's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, nice trade.
Yeah, I'll dig it. But let's get back into. Let's talk some Evil Dead.
We got way sidetracked. Sorry, everybody.
We're only 7 minutes in. It's great. They're loving it. Rebecca is in comment, so we know we're doing all right. But yeah, Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
What do you think?
Overall, the franchise is fucking fantastic. Agreed. I absolutely love it. 1981?
Yes.
Sam Raimi released his very first Evil Dead. It was at a nice college project. Out of all the series, everything's released. I mean, when Evil Dead first came out, obviously it was fucking fantastic. But Hate Mail Time, I think it's probably one of my least favorite out of the entire franchise. The franchise has just grown and excelled so much over the years that I think I would actually put Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, as probably one of my least favorites. And it could be because Evil Dead 2, in my opinion, is a remake. I know it's supposed to be a sequel, but to me, it's more of a remake from Evil Dead 1. So I think definitely I would put Evil Dead 2 as one of the better of the series.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it was just like a lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Like when you've done a job a long time, experience.
Yeah.
With the first Evil Dead, I think it's an awesome movie, but I think you're right. Evil Dead 2 is a remake of the first one, and it's definitely the better of the two. I was thinking about this actually when I watched Evil Dead recently, the original 1981, and I was trying to think of a horror comedy that was before that was kind of like big, and I really couldn't come up with one. And it's one of my favorite genres, horror comedy. You and I have talked about that in the past.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite genres, and I was trying to think: is Evil Dead like the first kind of comedy horror? Or is it the first accredited comedy horror, or do people not even consider it? Because they were trying to make an actual horror movie.
Yeah, I don't know if the original Evil Dead's funny, but it wasn't meant to be funny.
Exactly.
So I don't know if I would consider it a comedy horror. Number 2, though, they purposefully threw in slapstick comedy in 2. So 2, I would consider a horror comedy. I think 1 is just one of those movies where it's like, it's funny, but it's not supposed to be. You laugh at it, but when Raimi was making it, his intentions weren't for you to laugh at it,
Right.
but you do. So I don't know if it counts. I mean, it could.
Speaking of that whole series, I think Bruce Campbell is one of the most underrated physical comedy actors like ever.
For slapstick.
Yeah, like just the way he like talks, the way he moves his body, the way he's like he is that character really, and he's just like the way he, physically plays Ash. I think is just like a lot of people don't see it for really like as good as it really is.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he's really come a long way in his popularity and fandom, branching outside of horror movies, like horror fans. I mean, I think I think it's grown, and I think one of the things that kind of set me off or pointed that out to me was this last October. Me and my wife go to Halloween Horror Nights in Universal
Right.
uh, every year, and on the city walk there was a comic book store that was having Bruce Campbell signing, who's coming in to do an appearance and do a signing, and we didn't go to that, but we walked by it during the day, and his line was fucking huge, and I
Yeah.
was comparing it to like probably maybe 5-10 years ago, not 10 years ago, 5 to 7 years ago, the last time I seen Bruce Campbell have a line, and it was nowhere near as big as this line was. And I'm just like, I was trying to think, is it because it's at Universal and there's just so many people there, or is it the fact that he's actually exploded outside of just having fans that are hardcore horror movie fans? Do people watch movies because it's Bruce Campbell now instead of watching it because it's horror? So, and he's branching into like other horror comedies that he's done that outside of the Ash character. So
Right.
I think he's starting to live up to what he deserves.
Well, and I saw something recently too where he was in a like a comedy movie. It was like a comedy horror, and he was like it was kind of this similar character to Ash because I think he was like the manager of a
Black Friday.
Walmart. Is that what it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That was really good.
that movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I really
Yeah,
like that.
he's a manager of a toy store in it.
One of my favorite pictures actually is yeah, here Rebecca's Black Friday. Friday.
Wrong Friday.
Wrong Friday. One of my favorite pictures, though, and I posted, I think, this recently on the main page, was a picture of George Romero and like Sam Raimi when he was like 11 teen. Have you seen that picture?
I don't think so.
There was some sort of like film convention. I believe it was in Florida, and George Romero's at this point, probably in his 50s at least. And here's Sam Raimi, and he's wearing an Evil Dead shirt, but he looks like he's like 20 years old, And they're like hanging out, and it's just a picture of those two together. And he's talked before, like how much Night of the Living Dead and stuff was an influence on him. And I think you can really tell that in like the first Evil Dead with a lot of the like the goal, like the kind of the way that they did the prosthetics and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that photo. You're gonna have to send that my way. Oh, so Rebecca has seen it.
That's a great shot. Yeah. I think, like I said, I was pretty sure I posted it on the page the other day.
Oh, and that means I am oblivious to what you posted the other day because I did not see it.
One of the things I do appreciate about Sam Raimi is his overusage of blood, which I think really takes its form in Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
I think especially with that scene where Ash is in the like the pit, or and when he comes out and then that huge gush of blood behind him.
Yeah, it's like almost comedic, like
Right.
amounts of blood, and I absolutely love it as well. Like I love movies that, I mean, I love all kinds of horror movies, but I love movies that are like that where the blood is just so outrageous that it's nowhere near being realistic, but it's still fucking awesome. And like Dead Alive has that shit too, where it's just like so much blood. It's like you could go swimming in it.
Yeah.
It's not real, but it's still fucking cool.
Yeah. It's almost hard to believe that Sam Raimi also made those Spider-Man movies because I mean, I guess it depends on who you are, right? You either know him for Evil Dead or you know him for Spider-Man. You probably know of both, but you know him for one reason or the other. And it's just being an Evil Dead fan, it's just funny to see how his career went from making Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2 and all to like making Spider-Man movies. So like
Yeah.
kind of a weird transition, but it worked really well for him.
Well, and minus the blood, minus the overusage of blood, you can tell Raimi made those Spider-Man films. They
Right.
screamed Raimi, like just the way the film was shot, angles, move, like the way he did his like panning. It screamed Raimi.
Yeah. Have you speaking of Army of Darkness real quick, have you seen the Screwhead edition where it has the original ending?
I have Army of Darkness. Yeah, I own it on DVD, the Screwhead edition.
Yeah, I have that on Blu-ray. How do you feel about the what would have been the original ending versus the ending that they used? Because I believe like the story was basically they thought it was a too depressing of an ending, and they didn't know where that it would go from that point if they just did decide to continue the franchise. But so that's why they kind of changed it to I think it was him back at S-Mart or whatever,
Yeah.
instead of that post-apocalyptic fucking
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah, I actually really like the S-Mart ending better than the Screwhead edition ending. I mean, I understand what they were going for, but there's just something about that ending where he's back at S-Mart and then the Deadite appears.
Right.
But I love that ending. It's fucking classic.
Dude, I just got a great idea. I'm gonna start a psychobilly band called Vlad and the Deadites, and you're gonna sign us to your label.
Perfect. Sounds good. Are you gonna play bass?
Well, no, I'm Vlad. I gotta be the vocalist.
That's true. I
You know
guess.
what I mean?
I mean, you could go against the grain and do whatever the fuck you want. Honestly,
I'll play drums.
there you go.
The one guy nobody talks about.
Right. No, what did you think? Did you like the post apocalyptic ending or the S-Mart ending?
I like both for two different reasons. I like the S-Mart ending because it fit the movie better.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the comedic and the and it kind of softens the ending. You know what I mean? But I feel like the post-apocalyptic one, had they had something already written to kind of like start the next one, like leave you on a cliffhanger of him being in the future and everything's dead and whatever, and chaos. If it left you on a cliffhanger there and they had a story all ready to go, where they could pick up off of him being there and him fighting his way back to normal time and civilization and everything,
Yeah.
I could see it working. But I wasn't there when all that was going down or have read anything about it. But if they had something to follow up with, I could see it. But I could understand why the movie people or whatever didn't want to go that route and ended up going with the softer version. But again, the softer version almost fits the movie better.
Yeah. No, I feel it.
It's a good open and ending the way they have it.
Yeah. So here's a question. Out of the 3 originals, Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and Evil Dead 2, where does Army of Darkness sit for you?
To be honest, I personally enjoy Army of Darkness better than Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. Hate mail, send it.
I'm not sending it because I agree with you.
My only issue is I think Army of Darkness wouldn't have made sense if we didn't already have an introduction to the character Ash. You know what I mean? Obviously, he has to get the chainsaw. You know what I mean? There's a lot that has to happen to him in order for his character to make Army of Darkness. Mm-hmm. So I would say, like, yes, it's my favorite of the 3, but you at least need Evil Dead 2 to get into Army of Darkness, if that makes sense.
But do you? Because the timelines for all the Evil Dead movies, whether you're talking these 3 originals, the remakes, any of it, I'm sorry, not remakes, the remake and then the new one, the timelines are all kind of wonky, and there's parts of it where there's no where they just don't line up and they redo things. So I mean, you could literally throw Ash into Army of Darkness without Evil Dead 2, and because the way Raimi set up the Evil Dead world, it's just kind of people would just kind of go with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
I feel like it's one of those franchises where it doesn't really Raimi doesn't really explain a lot. He just, this is what's happening, deal with it.
Let me ask you this. I'd have to look up what Friday the 13th it is if you don't know off the top of your head. But one of them actually shows in Jason's little cabin next to his mom's head the Necronomicon. Um, have you ever heard that or seen that?
No, and I'm not the biggest Nightmare on Elm Street fan, so I
Friday the
don't know
13th.
enough about. Oh, Friday the 13th. Is that what
Yeah.
you said?
Yeah.
Oh, and then you're talking about Jason's cabin, and I'm all like, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Let me look up which one it is. The Necronomicon Ex Mortis is the Book of the Dead. It originally appeared in the Evil Dead, yeah, but it appeared in the Friday the 13th timeline. Yeah,
Really?
but which fucking one?
Are we talking about the horror verse now?
Oh, the horror verse. I'm trying to. Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh yeah.
So it appears briefly in Jason Goes to Hell, and according to the film's director, Jason Voorhees himself is a Deadite.
That's an interesting thought.
There you go.
I've never heard that or recall seeing it.
Yes, Rebecca, seriously. What were you saying?
That none of that has ever entered my brain. I've never seen it.
Oh, yeah, it's something I can't remember where I saw it. Somebody said like had mentioned it to me, and I've watched every Friday the 13th there is. I don't typically go back and watch Friday the 13th very often, unless it's for something specific like, hey, we're doing a Friday the 13th 6 episode. I'll go and watch the shit out of it. But a lot of those older ones I've seen so many times between my teens and 20s that like I'm just like, what's the point now? I'd rather rewatch the new Evil Dead as opposed to the old Evil Dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What did you
stuff every once in a while?
What did you think of the I don't like calling it a remake, the 2012 version, I believe. I don't really think it's a remake.
No, I mean it is. It's
I
it's supposed to be a remake of the original Evil Dead, but it's just like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. What is it? Is it a remake? Is it a sequel? What is it? Same thing with that. I'm gonna call it a remake for a second because I absolutely fucking loved it, and I think that it was probably, I mean, honestly, probably the best remake ever made. Like, it was I mean, and I know people are going to be like, but The Fly is a remake and The Thing is a remake. I get that. And yes, I think this is better than both of those movies. I think Evil Dead movie was fucking exactly what Raimi probably wanted an original Evil Dead. Just fucking dark and fucked up.
And that's it. I mean, if they were trying to like make the original Evil Dead scary, if they were trying to make a legit horror movie and not a comedy horror, the remake Evil Dead, if that's what we're calling it, definitely hit on every fucking marker. The tongue cutting fucking scene is one of the most
brutal.
Between that one and did you see Cocaine Bear?
Not yet.
Jesus
but you were talking
Christ.
About the face plant.
Dude, between those two are got to be like my top. They're in my top 5 best kill scenes of all time.
Yeah, that tongue split is fucking brutal. And then the fucking when she takes the fucking electric knife and just saws her arm off, and there's just like meat dangling and shit.
Yeah.
Those were the special effects in that movie were fucking legit.
The gore aspect in more modern horror is starting to get a lot fucking better. Like I felt like, with like Scream and shit, it was all like these stab wounds. And now we're actually seeing like more creative, like ways to fucking kill people. You know what I mean? Like it's not just stabbing each other anymore or, a machete. It's like no, this motherfucker flew out of the back of this and smashed their head on that. And it's like really cool effects that show you crushed skulls and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember I think it was on our old podcast that me and you used to do. We did an episode on something, and I remember talking about how the Evil Dead remake had a better chainsaw kill in it than any fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which blows my fucking mind. It is like there's a whole franchise of movies called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's about somebody fucking killing motherfuckers with a chainsaw, but none of those kills compared to anything from fucking the Evil Dead remake.
Yeah.
Which you could literally just saws that bitch in half. Blood's flying everywhere. They don't cut away from it. It's literally just right there.
That's I think after I'm trying to think of so Evil Dead was 2012. I really again feel like Evil Dead kind of cornered, or reignited something like with that whole the gore aspect because like really before 2012, I guess like House of a Thousand Corpses was around and
Yeah, but
Devil's
the
Rejects.
gore was not that big in that movie, right? There was a lot of grotesque and
Sure.
uncomfortable things that happen in House of a Thousand Corpses, but when you're actually talking about gore, it wasn't that gory.
What year did Devil's Rejects come out? Was that 2006?
Sounds about right.
Because I feel like that one was a little bit more gory than probably House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, I mean, and then it was, but even in the grand scheme of things, it was an uncomfortable movie, and it was a gritty and gross, uncomfortable, but it wasn't very gory either. There was a few kills in it, and there was
Right.
some cool, nails through the hand scenes and shit, but
Right.
the gore was still pretty light.
Yeah, that's true. I guess like I keep running the image of the girl wearing her boyfriend's face and running into
Yeah,
traffic.
yeah, that was. I mean, that was pretty higher on the gore meter, but
Yeah.
nowhere in comparison to what Evil Dead has
Oh
done.
no. Yeah, for sure. What did you think of the TV series? I don't. I think it was on. I know it was on Netflix at one point. I felt like, but it's on like.
Yeah, I never watched it. I think I watched one episode. Yeah, maybe one episode. Never finished it. Not that Ash versus Evil Dead. That was exactly that. I haven't watched it yet, but I've been told that it upped the gore game
It definitely
from
did.
like Army of Darkness. Because I mean, it's probably not going to be anywhere near as gory as the remakes, but from Army of Darkness, it upped the gore game.
Yeah, and what was cool was I felt like they took the gore from the remake Evil Dead and then the comedy from Army of Darkness and modernized it and are telling that story now. If that
But did
kind of
that come out before the remake?
Ash vs. the Evil Dead?
Yeah, that came out
No,
before
that's
the.
no. That's way newer. The remake came out in 2012. It was like late summer, I believe, and then the Ash vs. Evil Dead just
Oh
came out
yeah,
like
2015 through
2015.
2018.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3
So yeah,
seasons.
that did come out after.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it's definitely far gorier than like people. I mean, it's definitely hilarious, but there's a lot more gore than I think people gave it credit for.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I think it's on like Amazon Prime or something like that. It's on something right now.
I gotta send a message to Derek. Derek, I'm asking you to send me the damn score, not read my message and ignore me, son of a bitch. Okay, back to
Fuck
Army of
you.
Darkness, Evil Dead. I'm like, yeah, what's the score? And he read it, and he's just like, that was 4 minutes ago. Answer me, motherfucker.
I'm wearing my hat and everything.
Look, I got my thing. Wait, hold on. Let me get it. I've got to do it right. I got my fucking thing ready to go when we win. Got the hat on. Like, I need a score update, brother.
This is what I think about your game.
Dude, so is anyone in the comments? I'm curious, seeing the new Evil Dead? Was it Evil Dead Rise?
It's getting good fucking ratings from critics and from viewers, which critics fucking hate critics. It almost kind of scares me that it's getting good ratings from critics, but
Right.
it's getting good ratings from viewers too.
Rebecca says it's so good. My list is actually 2: Ash vs. Evil Dead, Army, and 1. All right. I like that.
That's a good order. I like that.
So I've actually read a lot of good things about it. And then me and Derek play Call of Duty at night. By the way, if anyone cares, it's 3-0 Devils. So now it's in the third period. Where am I at? Let me get situated. We're fucking winning this. We're advancing to the second fucking round of the playoffs.
I don't even know what sport the Devils play.
We're talking hockey.
Oh, okay. Hockey's cool.
That's right. What were we just talking about? What were we saying though before that?
You were gonna ask the viewers if any of them have seen Ash versus Evil Dead and what they thought of it.
Oh, no. Evil Dead Rise.
Oh yeah, that too. Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what it says. So me and Derek play Call of Duty at night, and there was some guy we were playing with. I'm pretty sure this is where I heard this, and he's like, "Oh, it was all right. Like the first half was really good, and the second half sucked."
I hate that.
But I don't typically take other people's opinions into fucking when I'm gonna go watch a movie or listen to a band. Like I'll be like, if you told me something sucked, I'll believe you, but I'll still go watch it. Because a lot of people would think Cannibal Holocaust sucks. And I love that fucking movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? A lot of people would watch. I have my Human Centipede tramp stamp patch on my battle vest. And people all the time, they're like, that movie's so gross. I'm like, I love that fucking movie. So if I listen to those idiots, then I would never find rad shit to watch.
Yeah, just like people tell me Child's Play sucks. Fuck you guys. Child's Play's awesome.
I don't know who Frank Equate is, but he says, where's the chick at? I'm assuming the chick you're talking about is Michelle of the Dead.
Did you miss our intro, Frank?
Frank missed the intro, and she is busy saving dogs' lives' eyeballs.
She's a superhero tonight.
She's wearing a cape. And she's not a chick. She's an awesome person, and we miss her terribly. Come back to us, Michelle.
Quit your whining.
I don't know what Chucky rocks.
Yeah, it's because I just said I like Child's Play, and people say it sucks.
Frank says he did. He's sorry. No worries, brother. No worries.
No worries, Frank. We're just messing with you, man. Welcome to the show. Thank you.
So speaking of Child's Play, let's not get into that. All right, Ed, all right. You're right. You're right.
Focus, focus.
No, it's okay. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Yeah. So the new one, I'm curious to see where this story goes, because this doesn't have Ash in it at all, right? Bruce says nothing. There's nothing Ash.
No, he wasn't in the first remake either. No, I think what they're doing with the new, I think what they're doing with the new Evil Deads is just like one-off stories, which I think is going to be fantastic. It doesn't need to have like one long continuous story. If they just did one-off stories, I would love it. I think it's a good way to go.
And it's easy to do with that story too, because you have the Necronomicon, right? Which is obviously a book that's fucking traveled through time, space, and whatever else. So you can have ways for that book to get. I mean, they could have done the same thing with fucking The Exorcist, Pazuzu's head, But I mean, that book can just show up anywhere, and fucking deadites ensue, and whoever it is has to fight them off. So that's actually a good point. Is like they don't. I mean, as much as we all love Bruce Campbell, they don't need him to make Evil Dead movies.
Nope. And it's, I mean, I like you just said, I love him too, but he wasn't needed in the remake, and I don't think he's needed in this. Do we want him back for one eventually? Fuck yeah, that'd be rad. I'd love to see Bruce Campbell reprise Ash one more time, but I'm completely fine with what they're doing right now.
Frank has a good point. I think the off stories is where it's at. Get away from the Ash thing. Army of Darkness revealed 3 books, which it did. So every book brings different evils.
Yep. Yeah. Good point, Frank. I agree 100%.
Yeah, it'd actually be cool too to see like kind of even like a story about all 3 books. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need an origin story per se, but like something that a movie that involved all 3 books,
Yeah.
Like what's the stones that fucking Thanos
Infinity Stones?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Necronomicon version of Infinity Stones.
Fucking A.
Oh, that'd be one person possesses all 3 books.
Was it? Remind me, because I smoke a lot of weed and I don't have a lot of brain cells. Was the Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness that had like the laughing fucking? It was Evil Dead 2 that had the laughing deer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite fucking scenes. Well, you know what? Army of Darkness had some killer ones too. Like when he did when it had the little ashes had big ash fucking on the ground. That the whole like fucking what's it called? Three Stooges routine that he
Right.
does with all the mini ashes. Dude, like that was like fucking comedy gold. And we didn't even know what we were watching and laughing our asses off. But you know what I mean? Like a lot of that shit was like, Stooges style
Yeah.
comedy.
Slapstick. Charlie Chaplin style.
That's a good question. Where is Melissa and Russ?
Oh shit. Russ might be
Russ
working. He
Russ
just got a
started
new
a new
job.
job. Melissa's probably wearing her cape too. She's a nurse, and so maybe she's saving lives. But
Kicking ass and taking names.
yeah, pretty much.
I wanna no, go ahead and finish your thought real quick.
I had finished my thought. I was actually contemplating a new one, but I wasn't there yet. So go for it.
I want to talk about 2 Evil Dead entities that probably don't get talked about a lot. The first one, have you watched the season 2 episode of Creep Show that has Ted Raimi in it and does the Evil Dead like homage, where so Ted Raimi, it's a Creep Show. The episode's called something rad. I don't remember what it's called. The episode's called Public Television of the Dead. And Ted Raimi stars, and he brings an antique to this Antiques Roadshow style show, and the antique he brings is the Necronomicon. And all hell breaks loose, and deadites come alive on the TV screen or on the TV show. But there's this character that's like a Bob Ross style character, because it's like a PBS show. And so there's like this calm painter who's filming a show on another set that gets drawn into it. So basically you get to watch Bob Ross kick the ass of deadites, which is fucking awesome. If you ever want to watch Bob Ross kick ass.
I'm pretty sure I have seen that episode.
Dude, it's one of the best fucking Creep Show episodes ever. If you haven't watched it yet, fucking watch it. Nick, what is his name? Greg Nicotero. I almost said Nick Gregatero. Greg Nicotero directs it. So, I mean, he's completely on point with just like fucking paying as much tribute to Evil Dead as possible. It's fucking awesome. Check it out.
I'm trying to pull this picture up for you guys. This was me back in 2000, I believe it was 11. There used to be a convention called Crypticon. I'm sorry, ZombieCon. Crypticon still exists. ZombieCon in Seattle, and I actually got to hang out with Ted Raimi and meet him, and he was actually super rad, the nicest dude.
Yeah,
and in this picture, he kind of looks like one of the Reservoir Dogs.
I was just gonna say that he looks like he could be in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, he was super awesome to meet. If you do ever get a chance to meet him, like, dude was super super rad. Thank you, Rebecca. That would be like a cool Crypticon thing. Would be like to have an Evil Dead reunion.
Yeah, that would be fucking cool.
Yeah. When we did do the mystery boxes, the cabin where a lot of that was filmed, I believe it's in Tennessee, is like all broken down, and these guys had went and stole like boards, and they were taking splinters, and they were selling the splinters for like really cheap. And I was actually trying to buy some of the splinters from the boards, enough to fill boxes. It never transpired. But I was like, dude, to own a piece of the cabin like Evil Dead was filmed in would be so fucking rad.
Yeah, that'd be
He was in Twin Peaks. That's also correct.
Yep.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm a big Twin Peaks guy.
Yeah.
I got Log Lady portrait tattooed on my foot. I love Twin Peaks.
How cute.
Hey, I got George Romero on my other foot.
Really, dude?
Yeah, so the same convention actually that I met Ted Raimi, George Romero was there, and I've always been like a Night of the Living Dead. Like I love that fucking movie. And so this guy, I worked in a tattoo shop in I can't remember the name of that mall, Southgate, and there was a tattoo at Metro. There's that they tattoo in there or whatever. Not Metro, Body Piercing Plus or Body Jewelry Plus. Anyway, there's this guy that worked there, and he was learning to do portraits, and he did a killer fucking portrait of George Romero on my foot. Well, everyone was always asking me, like, is that your grandfather? Is that your dad? And because nobody knows what George Romero looks like unless you know what George Romero looks. So I would always be like, yeah, that's my granddad. And then so I was like, dude, I need some like weird woman to put on my other foot. So I could be like, it's my grandparents.
That's
And
so funny.
I was like, who's funnier and weirder than fucking Log Lady from Twin Peaks? And so, yeah, I have George Romero on my right foot and Log Lady on my left foot.
That's so funny. I got my grandparents on my feet.
Well, and she's like cradling a log in a tattoo too. So people are just probably like, what the fuck is he?
What is happening?
A few people have seen it. Actually, when how many years ago was that? I think it was like 3 years ago. Ray Weiss and the girl who played Laura Palmer were at Crypticon. And so I went there and I have an 11x17 that I already had Kimmy Roberts and a couple other autographs on. So I brought it with me to have them sign it. And when I was in line to talk to Ray Wise, he's the coolest fucking guy alive. I don't care what anyone says. Cheryl Lee. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Rebecca. Ray Wise is the coolest fucking dude alive. He had someone sitting there and they had a glass flask with a leather like thing around it, and she was like pouring him drinks as he was talking. He had like a cocktail going the whole time, dressed to the nines, like but he fucking, me and him got along amazing. He was a really nice dude. But I was like, here, like, I want to show you my tattoo. I was like, look at this tattoo of Catherine. She fucking da-da-da. And he's like, he stopped Cheryl Lee's line and they both like took me to the side, and I told him that whole story and Cheryl Lee's autograph. She's like, to Vlad, like, tell grandma we love her or something like that. I'd have to go read it. And then she signed it. And Ray Wise did a whole fucking like paragraph. He's like, you're the most cool, unique individual. It's like, stay strong. Like all this whole like diatribe of like being positive and things. And but it was really fucking cool. And I got to show them my tattoo. And they were like, she actually made her inscription about my tattoo, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I love Twin Peaks.
Apparently.
But anyway, back to Evil Dead. Speaking of autographs, do you have anyone from Evil Dead? Do you have a Bruce Campbell or anything like that?
No, I don't.
Hold on. Derek messaged me. 4-0. Game over, baby. There we go.
Oh, throw your hat.
No, I can't throw my hat. We won. We gotta do this one.
Well, don't they like throw their hats up in the air when they win?
No, so in hockey, let me just learn you a little something. There's something called a hat trick, and that's when they get 3 goals in one game. And when that happens, all the home team, or if you're a fan of that guy's team, you take your hat and you throw it out on the ice. So, but as far as I know, no one got a hat trick, and my hat's staying on.
Cool.
Got to represent. But I could throw this.
Throw it. Yeah. We won.
As my cat goes and attacks it and shreds it up.
Shreds it up.
But yeah, back to Evil Dead. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you. This whole time I've been using this mouse pad.
Oh, that's cool. This whole time I've been showing people this awesome photo.
I had a Bruce Campbell at one point, and then I had the 3 girls from the original Evil Dead. But I think I sold or auctioned them off. In retrospect, I wish I hadn't. I wish I still had them, but yeah, I got to just keep my eyes on the market. But you said you don't have any, right?
No, currently no. Had a Bruce back in the day. Traded it away.
I saw a DVD, like a box set, and the outside is like a replica of the Necronomicon. Have you seen those?
The DVD box set? Yeah.
They're kind of like made of rubber.
Yeah, it's got it's Evil Dead 1, 2, and Army of Darkness. I think it's the 3-pack.
Rebecca, I'll be honest. Unless it's the Satanic Bible, I don't read. Oh no, wait, that's not true. I also read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Squeak.
Yeah,
Um,
Johnny is so fucking rad. I love Johnny.
if Chins Could Kill is hilarious. Have you read any of his books?
Are you talking to me or Rebecca?
I'm talking to you, Bruce
Oh,
Campbell's books.
no, I have not.
Well, apparently they're very good. As
Yeah, I know.
Rebecca says.
If Chins Could Kill had pretty good ratings, and a few people that I know that have read it, really enjoyed it. But I
I,
haven't ever
s-
read it.
I don't
My cousin
remember
loved
what
it.
app it was on, but I actually saw it was like a game show, a horror themed game show, trivia game show hosted by Bruce Campbell. And they were doing it at conventions. It was actually pretty cool.
Huh, that'd be fun. I mean, it wouldn't be as cool as the horror trivia game show we do,
Well, true.
but that would be fun.
I don't know. I mean, the
Wait, what did
game
Rebecca
show,
just say?
she doesn't read much either,
No.
but she read his books. I'm all, it's funny. I don't read just before this show. I'm like, Patrick, have you seen this? I literally showed you a book 5 minutes ago.
Right. All right. I want to ask you about the next rarity for Evil Dead that doesn't get talked about a lot. Have you seen the Evil Dead the musical, the live play that they do?
I have not. Is you'd have to go to a playhouse and see it?
Yeah.
No.
Came out Laura's Diary.
I don't know what that means. I just put it up there.
I'm just randomly putting this up. No, it started off off of Broadway and then made it onto Broadway and exploded. It's fantastic. I've seen it once. I will definitely. It's only been in our area once that I know of since I've heard of it. If it ever comes back around, I am definitely going again. They have soak zones where they just douse you in blood while you're watching it. It's fucking rad.
It's like interactive. I like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot like Rocky Horror where it's interactive and stuff. But I mean, it's interactive in a different way than Rocky Horror because you don't get up and sing the songs and there's no dances that you do.
So it's
But
like a Guar concert.
yeah, exactly. Except you don't get cummed on.
Rebecca saw in Vegas. So fun. Splatter row only.
Yeah, exactly. Don't if you go to that show and don't get splatter row seats, then why are you even there? It's fucking rad.
Dude, I have to watch an Evil Dead musical.
Yeah. Well, so it combines Evil Dead 2, and tidbits of Army of Darkness in it. They kind of hodgepodge it all together into like one play, but it fucking works. It's so good. It even has Bruce Campbell's seal of approval. He's gone and watched it in numerous different states and loves it.
Have you seen any of the comic books like Ash versus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have? I haven't. I don't read much. I'm not a big comic guy, but how are those? Like, what are any good storylines to pull from those? Or
yeah, they're all right. They just expand the universe a little bit. I haven't read them all, dabbled in them, so I don't know enough to like really kind of like flush out to you what it does. But they just expand the Army of Darkness like story arc a little bit. At least the ones that I've read.
Okay,
they're all right.
Ever since we talked about that Evil Dead, the Necronomicon showing up in Friday the 13th, and Jason possibly being a Deadite, I'm like, dude, we need a Jason versus Ash, fucking like Freddy versus Jason type film where
Dude,
Ash and him go at it.
Horrorverse, man, they've already had Evil Dead in the Horrorverse.
Thanks for tuning in, Rebecca. Have fun tonight with whatever you got to do. She said got to go. I'm assuming she has to go. Bye, Rebecca. But I think that would be rad. Like it's like kind of like a crossover. You know what I mean? Where you get the good guy Ash versus Jason Voorhees. I mean, we still need the campers to die. Horrorverse. Are you listening?
Horrorverse.
We got an idea.
I am so excited about that Horrorverse and what they're working on. So much can happen. Can't wait to see what they do. let's pitch that Ash versus Jason Voorhees. I mean, they already kind of leaning that way. They've already got tidbits of Evil Dead in the horror verse. Episode 1 had the tree rape scene, basically.
Right. And they already have Jason, so there you go. Who would win in that fight?
Jason versus Ash? I mean, Jason. Sorry, Ed.
I mean,
I love you, Bruce, but I think Jason would slaughter you.
You don't think it would be like a normal Friday the 13th movie where at the end it seemingly Jason's dead, but really they just bring him back later on?
No, I think that I guess it depends on which Jason it is, right? I think CJ Graham or fucking Kane Hodder would fucking smash Ash.
But like Jason,
the other two would probably any other, it would probably be it'd probably be an Ash win.
Got it. Yeah, I could see it. So on a scale of your top 100 movies, franchises, where does Army of Darkness rank for you?
Man. Top 100?
And then it's hard too because of how many crossover like genre stuff there is, right? Army of Darkness is super comedy. The remake is super serious. You know what I mean? Like,
I think if we're talking, and I'm not going to put a number on it because that'd be hard. But if we're talking the original trilogy, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, it would actually be kind of low.
Really?
Lower on my list. If we're talking the newer stuff, like the Evil Dead and then Evil Dead Rise, it'd probably be a bit higher. I really like that Evil Dead remake.
100%. And honestly, like, I think the only thing that really salvages the first 3 is Army of Darkness for me. Evil Dead 2 is great, and there was a ton of scenes I loved from it. But I think as far as the newer things, even the new TV show, well, not new, it's been off the air for like 5 years or whatever. But
right.
Even that TV show,
so recent.
Yeah, it's still like kind of the pace is a lot faster, the gore is a lot better. Obviously with time, the cinematography and special effects have gotten better, but it's just funner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think Army of Darkness, I've watched it so many fucking times. I could say that I could probably quote that movie like word for word if it was playing in front of me right now. You know what I mean? But it's like one of those ones that like, if you're building my top 10, like it's definitely in my top 10, Army of Darkness, at least. The other ones we can kind of place around, but to me, I think that's the gem of the whole franchise, easily followed by the remake Evil Dead.
Yeah, I would not have, if we did a top 10 horror movie list, none of the Evil Dead franchise, at least this original trilogy, would be in my top 10.
Really?
Like nowhere near my top 10. But but that doesn't mean anything because I absolutely love the films. It's like, I love them. I love what Raimi did with them. I love the memories I've had watching them, but there's so many other horror movies out there that I love more.
No, 100%. Obviously, I'm a big Texas guy. Like that's my number one jam. Although I'm very unhappy with the new one for a multitude of reasons.
The Netflix one?
That was so bad.
It was all right. It was.
Were you on the show when we did a show about that?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Either that or me and you did one on our old podcast, but I've talked on air about those movies with you. I think Michelle too. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. On here then.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Yeah. That movie was all right. It wasn't the worst horror movie I've ever seen. There's far worse.
Speaking of terrible, let me tell you something. I just watched that new Scream that just came out. I think it's 7.
Scream 6.
6?
Yeah.
That movie's fucking badass.
Yeah, the one in New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet, but I love Scream. That's another thing I get hate for too. Is like Scream is such a shitty horror franchise. Fuck off. That franchise is fucking rad.
I think the first one I liked, because it was the very original thought. But then I kind of got lost after that, and it was just kind of like I felt like the same story over and over. But
Oh yeah,
since
so
I
is Friday
liked,
the 13th.
well, yeah, but
So is Nightmare on
since
Elm Street.
fair,
So is Leprechaun.
well, duh.
So is Evil Dead.
Well, how
Evil
much can
Dead.
you?
The Evil Dead is literally the same fucking story from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Well, like, how much can you do with a fucking leprechaun? He only wants one thing. It's his pot of gold, or a gold flute, or whatever the fuck it is.
A gold flute.
That's why, it wasn't Scream. It was like Scary Movie when they fucking. Isn't that the one where he takes? No, it's Is it Leprechaun in Hood where he breaks the bong and stabs the dude with it?
Yeah. I think that's
Dude, that shit's so fucking funny.
I love Leprechaun.
Yeah, I'm glad it was Warwick Davis and not fucking Ed Gale.
Right.
Just to come full circle on our Ed Gale post.
Yeah,
or
come full circle to
earlier.
Frank's comment earlier.
So anything else on Evil Dead? You feel like we've talked about it, we've covered it?
I think so.
You're just excited for some new gory ass shit from
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I haven't watched it yet.
What, the newest one?
Yeah, Evil Dead Rise.
It's Angela and I talked about seeing it last weekend because we were by the mall, and I was like, "Oh, dude, Evil Dead Rise!" But it was like later in the night, and we had to go. But I was like, "Fuck!" And then I realized it's the only way you can watch it. I'm sure in like a month it'll probably be on like Paramount or fucking Peacock or one of those ones.
Yeah, things are going to streaming a lot sooner than they used to.
Yeah. That was like that Cocaine Bear literally was in the theaters, and then like a week after the theaters, it's like free on your TV if you have Peacock. I'm like, I got Peacock or whatever one it was.
I'm about to watch this shit.
We've been I don't know if you watch any like comic book based TV shows, but we've been watching Doom Patrol. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
That's a DC comic. It's fucking weird, but it's pretty badass. I don't really know how to best to explain it. It's like a motley crew of super people, and it's just very fucking weird. But Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball is like a bad guy in it.
Badass. That guy is so rad.
Yeah. Speaking of Dodgeball, I don't know if you saw this or not, but apparently Vince Vaughn got greenlit for a part 2
of Dodgeball.
Yeah, and Ben Stiller should be coming back for it. I would imagine a lot of the original cast would be back for it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love that fucking movie.
Yeah,
Dodgeball was so good.
That movie is fucking legit. Yeah.
I guess that the reason it took so long was they were worried about how well like part 2s the like really good comedies do. Like a part 2 to Superbad wouldn't be good. Like it just never works out.
Yeah.
And so that's
Anchorman 2 garbage.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'd be pretty hyped on that. And obviously, I'm sure you've heard they are making Beetlejuice too.
Yeah, I think that's still a rumor. I don't know if it's actually real.
I thought I read that they had a bunch of people signed on.
I hope it's real.
I don't know if it's like started making it.
And Jenna Ortega as Christina Ricci, or not Christina Ricci, as fucking Winona Ryder's daughter. That would be fucking perfect.
That'd be fucking tits.
Yeah.
Well, I love you, brother.
Love you too.
Michelle, we miss you.
We do.
We know you're out saving the world.
Back. Save the puppy.
We know you're out saving the world. So until next week, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Wait, I got one last thing to say. Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
This week's episode is brought to you by Body Scare. All natural body care products so good, they're scary.
What's going on?